What's going on, guys? Welcome to another episode review for Attack on Titan, the final season. This is episode 25, and with me, as always, I have Blue Spade.
Well, this episode definitely showcased a lot what was lacking in the last episode, which is kind of which is kind of necessary because we kind of needed all that tension with all the characters from both opposing sides just joining up for a common goal and trying to stop Eren from continuing the rumbling.
Yeah, I just find it funny the timing of this. They decided to do this now and not, before they all joined up. I kind of wish it would have happened before that, but at least they're kind of trying to address some of that, I guess.
Yeah. So the start of the episode begins with John apparently having this dream or like this vision of a future that he would have liked, living a life of luxury with a wife and child. And instead, he wakes up to Hanji waking him up and then
Knocking
asking
on the window.
him to join. Yeah, knocking on the window and then having him join the remaining members of the Survey Corps along with members of the Marlians to stop Eren's genocide.
Yeah, they kind of have a conversation. Hanji has a conversation with John and Mikasa about like what they're planning to do, and how she's pretty much against Eren's genocide. And while she's talking, like we see Erwin and the dead scouts around them. I kind of like that imagery, but I guess they're trying to imply that Erwin might have sided with Hanji and the Alliance, which I think that's debatable. What Erwin would have done if he were still alive. I'm personally of the belief he would have sided with Eren. He wouldn't have he wouldn't have agreed with what Hanji's trying to do. But yeah, I thought that was kind of interesting. But it basically showed like the scene is basically trying to show like why Jean, I guess, decided to join up with the Alliance. Although he still is very conflicted about what he's doing. About if he should join up with them or not, or if he really wants to join up with his enemies, I guess, which I kind of like because this episode just goes more into that, because we saw it in the last episode about how he was conflicted about his decisions, and this episode just goes even more so into it.
Yeah, well, it's pretty much Jean already made his decision and he can't take it back at this point, so he's pretty much stuck with the Alliance. But there is some interesting tension between some of the characters between the Marlian and the Eldian side. One interesting conversation was with both Magath and Jean arguing with each other about how this whole conflict started like 2,000 years prior, and Jean making the good argument that him and his people have been surviving like hell against the Titans the Marlians kept sending at them, in order to survive, to get where they are right now. And of course, Magath makes this argument about how the aliens are, these island devils that have caused them so much pain and suffering over the last 2,000 years. Which, honestly, like Hanji makes a good argument of like why you could bring something up that's like, that they took no part in, like, in their generation.
Yeah, this is pretty much a dialogue-heavy episode. It's pretty much like all these characters sitting around a campfire and just laying out their grievances with each other, I suppose. Which, like I said, this should have happened before. Yeah, quite a few characters, that have done some pretty bad things, like Annie, Reiner, and some of the other characters, like they kind of get confronted about like the things that they done and kind of express some regret about what they did, like especially like Reiner in regards to Marco's death, and also Annie in regards to that too.
Yeah. Of course, speaking of Annie, she confronts Mikasa about whether she would be able to kill Eren if she can't convince him to stop the rumbling. And Mikasa is pretty adamant of wanting to, convince Eren to stop the rumbling. But she doesn't really give a straight answer of whether or not that she would be willing to kill Eren if it comes to that.
Yeah, this is something that Mikasa has kind of, I think, been struggling with, is the decision whether or not she would be able to go through with killing Eren if it came down to it.
Yeah.
And I also like in
And-
this episode too, like how Yelena actually, the things that Yelena says to all of them about how she just kind of calls some of the characters out on what they've done. Like Armin, like how Armin actually also has blood on his hands. He's done bad things. Like none of them are really innocent. And how she basically calls them out for the whole "we're going to save the world" thing. And how it's just like it doesn't really amount to much of anything because not and none of them are truly like the heroes they might think they are or something like that. I kind of like that that Yelena is just kind of calling all this for what it is. But that's probably like one of my favorite scenes in the episode, honestly. Aside from the stuff with Jean, the conversation with Jean and Reiner about when Reiner brings up Marco. And Jean just ends up losing it. At first he kind of lets it go, but he eventually just kind of snaps and just beats the crap out of Reiner. Like, you start feeling bad for Reiner because it just doesn't seem like he can catch a break. He really feels like the punching bag for most of the series, honestly.
Well, he's just at this point, Reiner's just allowing himself to be the punching bag throughout the entirety of this season. It's like he's just dealing with so much like personal guilt at this point that he's just allowing everyone to just beat the crap out of him.
Yeah. I mean, he did kind of bring it on himself by continuing to apologize for Marco when John just kept telling him to let it go. But yeah, like I guess since this is a dialogue heavy episode, we can also just talk about I guess the general cinematography of it too, because it's pretty obvious because they keep focusing on the which is a little bit weird, and I don't know why they did it because of the whole like children in the forest theme, I guess, as they keep focusing on the tree branches. Like whenever somebody talks, they kind of cut away from them and start cutting to the trees. And I guess that's supposed to go back to to that particular theme. But I thought that was a little bit overdone in this episode. Like I feel like they did a little bit too much. When a character would talk, they would keep cutting back to the trees. And I don't know. I don't know how you felt about that, but I thought it was just kind of weird. And I don't think everybody's going to understand why they did that.
It didn't really bother me too much. I mean, like you said, it was mostly a dialogue heavy episode, and you just listen to the tension between like these different characters and just the amount of stuff they get called out on them and all the stuff they've done prior to this.
Yeah.
And what they're willing to do to to stop whatever Eren is doing. And they also like, I don't know if like they even talk about what they're gonna do, like if they even stop Eren, like what
I think they do kind of bring that up at one point, if I remember correctly, but I don't know if they.
Oh yeah, I think I do.
I don't know if they like Jean really elaborate much on it.
I think I actually no. So
they say they're hoping for. Actually, yeah, Hanj does talk about this a little bit. She says she hopes for like a temporary peace or something, or at least like 4 years of peace or something like that. Which I don't know. I feel like it just feels like the Alliance has no real plan, because like me knowing what happens later in the manga, without spoiling anything, I'll just say like it's the Alliance doesn't really seem to have any sort of plan for after they stop Eren. Like once they stop Eren, they're still going to have Marley that's going to still want to wipe them all out. And as messed up as it is, Eren is the only one that is pretty much stopping Marley from committing genocide themselves, which is what they were going to do. Was they were going to genocide all the aliens. So they really don't have a plan for what is going to happen after that. Armin's plan seems to be that he wants to talk things out with them, which may or may not help, I guess, but. That's his whole plan is he wants to just talk with them. But as we've seen, from the series already, the Marleyans, I don't know if they can really be convinced. They very much believe the Eldians are subhuman, and I don't know if they really want to entertain any dialogue. I really see the scene from season 3 with when Armin wanted to talk with Bertolt as a bit of a microcosm of what would happen if they were to try to talk things out with Marley. Armin tried to talk things out with Jean or not Jean, but Bertolt, and Bertolt was not interested in talking things out. He just wanted to kill them. So I feel like that would be almost kind of what would happen if they tried to talk things out.
Yeah, but yeah. So the end of the episode, everyone was just moving on to. I guess they're heading to the port where they're gonna take this like what was it, like some kind of aircraft or something like that?
Yeah, plane.
From the Azumabito, what was it, Azumabito clan that Mikasa is like technically a part of. So they head over there and Pieck patrols ahead and then spots pretty much all the Jaegerists guarding the port with with Flock taking the head of Azumabito hostage, and that's pretty much the end of the episode there.
Yeah, and based on the episode preview, it looks like probably the next episode is going to be basically the Alliance versus the Jaegerists, and as the Alliance tries to I guess get on that one of those ships because they're guarding the port, or maybe try to get on that plane. So there's probably going to be some kind of conflict in the next episode, and going to be interested to see what happens with Flock, since he's the one taking Lady Azumabito hostage.
Yeah, it's just surprising like how much of a big role Flock has taken ever since the events of the end of season 3.
Yeah,
like he's like, we just saw him like it's almost this like a random scout trooper who was lucky to survive Zeke's attack, and then he just gets completely elevated into this like antagonistic figure working alongside Eren.
Yeah, we never really. It's never really hinted at that this is the kind of character he would have turned into when he is introduced in season 3. So it is kind of surprising to see like what the kind of what he's basically turned into in this season.
Yeah.
But yeah, I thought this was a pretty good episode, despite it being a mainly dialogue heavy episode with pretty much no action. The way they use interesting camera angles and everything to try to make things interesting. And it is actually good that they're bringing up a lot of the problems each character has with each other and trying to kind of address that in a way. But there is also one thing that I thought about more that I kind of want to point out. I think I brought this up in the last episode, but Connie should have at least had something to say to Gabby. I don't think he had anything to say to her in this episode, considering Gabby's the one who killed Sasha. Connie didn't say anything about it, which is weird. He just still hasn't brought it up. And I'm not saying it should be like some kind of long drawn out scene where like they kind of argue about it. Like, I feel like it should just be Connie like walking up to her and saying like, I can never forgive you for what you did. But we have like bigger things to worry about or something. It's kind of like what happened with between Reiner and Jean, where Jean pretty much straight up told Reiner he could never forgive him, which makes sense. But that never happens with Connie and Gabby, which is, like I said, it's kind of weird. It's almost like, they kind of forget about, Connie just conveniently forgot about Gabby killing Sasha or something.
Yeah, there's just a little bit of inconsistencies with certain things, like what happened, like what happened in the last episode, which is which a lot of the character interactions,
like when they first see Annie again, their immediate reaction isn't like kind of in a way, sort of like open hostility, because considering what she did. It's more so like, oh, hey, here's Annie. Let's, like, let's laugh at the fact that she stuffed her face with pie. It's just kind of strange.
Yeah. It was. Yeah. I mean, at least I'm glad that this episode improves upon that a little bit, but I really wish they could have brought, like you said, brought up the Sasha stuff again.
Yeah.
But maybe I don't know if they will in the next episode, but I feel like that this should have been the episode that could have made it a better moment. but unless they could have taken it out for probably time constraints or something.
Also, we should bring up in regards to Gabby, like it does seem like she's she does get a little bit more of well, I don't know if I'd say character development, but just in this episode, she pretty much stops John from kicking Reiner when he's beating him up, and pretty much begs John to help them. And I think at this point, John was still conflicted with his decision on whether or not he actually wants to join up with them. But of course, in the next day, he pretty much makes up his mind and actually apologizes to Gabby. So I don't know. It seems like Gabby's character is just like at this point done like a complete 180 from how she was in the beginning of the final season.
Yeah. Speaking of what you said about like Jean forgiving Gabby, I think in a way, Jean forgives Gabby, for what she did to Sasha in an indirect manner, probably. I mean, it's not directly stated, but I think in a way, Jean may have forgiven her to some extent.
Yeah, and it's just still gonna bother me because Connie is one of the other major characters that should have addressed the Sasha thing aside from John, because they were both close with Sasha, so it really makes no sense why one character it's a pretty big plot point that they address that with Gabby, but then the other one it never gets brought up. So, but yeah, I don't really have too much else to say about the episode. I definitely like that they actually cut out the opening in this episode and they focus more so on kind of these conversations between the characters and trying to progress the plot in that instance. But yeah, I don't really have too much else to say about it. I don't know if you have anything else to say.
Yeah, this is definitely a good improvement over the last episode, which is I don't know. Like I said, the last episode was kind of all over the place in terms of character interaction and character motivation, and like certain timing of events just didn't make any sense. This one we finally got what we wanted in terms of character interaction and the amount of tension both sides have against each other.
Yeah. And yeah, I'm definitely looking forward to the next episode. We only have 3 more episodes to go at this point because technically this is episode 9 of part 2. So there's 3 more episodes. And there is the rumor going around that based on the title of the last episode, episode 12, which is the same title as chapter 130 of the manga, that it's going to end at that point of the story. And based on the way that the pace has been, there's no way it's going to end in 3 more episodes anyway. So there's definitely going to be a part 3 in some form. I guess be it another, maybe another series or like a movie. But my bets are on a movie, considering if it is going to end at chapter 130, there is 139 chapters. So I'm pretty sure it probably will be a movie because the series wouldn't really make any sense considering there wouldn't be much, too much left to adapt at that point. So I think a movie's probably the most likely.
Yeah. But yeah, well, I mean, we'll have to see what's going to happen next week. Supposedly when they go up against Flock and the other Jaegerists and trying to obtain this, whatever this aircraft that they're going to be piloting.
Yeah. Also to address the AOE thing of the anime original ending, I feel like at this point, I feel like if AOE is going to happen, there needs to be some major hint that comes up pretty soon, near the end of this season or something, to suggest AOE. Because if that doesn't happen, by the end of this season, I will say I'm I'm a little bit less convinced it will happen. It's possible it still could happen in the movie or whatever, but I would find it much less likely. I feel like there needs to be some major thing that happens by the end of part 2 to really say whether or not there will be AOE. But yeah, that all being said, until next Sunday, we will see you all next time.